Today I will explain about Ellingham diagram. But before that I have explained that in metallurgical operation the first step is the concentration of the ore followed by roasting or calcination. This is if required, followed by reduction and purification. Now if we have to reduce the ore, then we have to select a particular method to reduce it. Selection of the method for reduction will depend on the position of the element in activity series which you studied in 10th standard. Activity series is a series of metals placed in decreasing order of reactivity. That means these elements which are placed right on top are more reactive, and as you go down the reactivity decreases. Hydrogen is the only non-metal in this activity series. Now these metals which are placed high up in the activity series can be extracted by electrolysis only, because their oxides are very stable, they will not combine with reducing agents. Those elements which are in the middle of the activity series are moderately reactive, and to extract them from their ores we can use reducing agents like coke, carbon monoxide, or active metals like aluminium. If aluminium is used, then it is called as aluminothermy. Metals which are placed at the bottom of the series like mercury, silver, gold are least reactive, and they can be obtained by simply decomposing, thermal decomposition of their oxides. Platinum is least reactive. Now in extraction of the metal, if we are going to use heat energy, then that process of metallurgy is called as pyrometallurgy. So in pyrometallurgy, heat energy is used to obtain the metal from the ore. So we need to decide which reducing agent would be best. We need to decide the temperature at which we are going to carry out the reduction, for which we have to study Ellingham diagram. Ellingham diagram is a very important graph which will help us select the reducing agent and the temperature of reduction. So let us have a look at Ellingham diagram. Ellingham diagram is a graph of delta G naught F. Delta G is change in Gibbs free energy. F means for the formation of metal oxide per mole of oxygen versus temperature on the x-axis. So the graph of change in Gibbs free energy for the formation of the metal oxides per mole of oxygen against temperature is called Ellingham diagram. Now let us have a look at the graph. The graph for Ellingham diagram is a plot of delta G on the y-axis and temperature on the x-axis. You will see in this graph that this is zero value. All the values plotted are negative, and in thermodynamics we have studied that if delta G value is negative, that means reaction is spontaneous. That means the formation of the metal oxide from the metal is a spontaneous process, takes place on its own. But you will see that the graphs are all in the increasing order. There is only one graph which is going in the downward direction. Rest all the graphs are going in the upward direction. Let us study about the characteristics of this diagram in today's class. As I have told, Ellingham diagram is used to find a suitable reducing agent and to find the temperature at which the reduction can be carried out. Let us learn about the characteristics of this diagram. The first characteristics I just mentioned, that the graph for the formation of metal oxide is below delta G equal to 0. That means all the values that are seen there are negative values. Negative value of delta G means the formation of the metal oxide is a spontaneous process. We all studied that spontaneous process means the process that takes place on its own. That means highly reactive metals like magnesium oxygen or magnesium, aluminium will combine readily with atmospheric oxygen and get converted to their oxides. But as the temperature increases, we have seen in the graph just now that the slope of the graph increases, indicating that the stability of the metal oxide decreases with increase in temperature. Let me explain this point using Gibbs-Helmholtz equation, which I have explained in last time's video also. Gibbs equation is given by delta G is equals to delta H minus T delta S. Delta G is Gibbs free energy change, delta H is enthalpy, and delta S is entropy of the reaction. Now let us consider the formation of the metal oxide. Let us consider the metal oxide. M is the metal. This is oxygen, which is gas. Metal is solid. And here we will write metal oxide. Now you will see that in this diagram, it is a combustion reaction, an oxidation reaction. And since the reaction is combustion, it will be an exothermic reaction. Means delta H value will be negative. In this reaction, you will see that the metal is solid, it is reacting with a gas and it is forming a solid. That means in this case, entropy change. This is entropy. Entropy change is going to decrease. That means it will become negative. So if you substitute this in Gibbs-Helmholtz equation, then delta H value will be negative, T value is temperature, delta S is also negative, negative into negative will be positive. So as temperature increases, what will happen is this T delta S value will exceed delta H value, or the value of delta G will become less negative because this is a positive term. Hence what will happen is the graph will go in the upward direction, and that is what I have been saying. I am saying that with increase in temperature, the slope of the graph is increasing, indicating that the stability of the metal oxide decreases with temperature, because this value which should have been negative is having a negative term and a positive term. So the value of delta G will be negative only if delta H is very large and this is comparatively small. But as entropy decreases with increase in temperature, the positive value will become more and eat into this negative value. So with increase in temperature, delta G will become less negative, and therefore all the graphs that you are seeing that are plotted there will go in the upward direction. So that is the first point, that the graph for the formation of metal oxides are below delta G equal to 0. This is the 0 value, all are below, indicating that the reaction for the formation of metal oxide is spontaneous. But as the temperature increases, this graph is going in the upward direction, indicating that the value of delta G, which is negative, is becoming less negative, and the slope is going in the upward direction. Another way of looking at it is like this. Delta S is negative. So this graph, this equation will be like this. So we have plotted delta G on the y-axis, we are plotting temperature on the x-axis. So this value of delta S is the slope. So with increase in temperature, what is happening to the slope is becoming positive. It is going in the upward direction. That is another way of understanding this point. Or otherwise, we can say that with increase in temperature, this term is becoming more and more positive, and the value of delta G, which should have been negative, is going to become less negative. So the graph is going in the upward direction. So that is the first point that we have to remember. Let us look at the second point. The graph for the formation of carbon monoxide is in the downward direction. Let us look at the graph again. If you look at this graph, Ellingham diagram, then you will see all the graphs for the formation of metal oxides are in the upward direction. Magnesium plus oxygen is going up. Aluminium oxide, graph upwards. Zinc oxide, upward. Copper oxide, it's going in the upward direction. Slope is becoming less negative, or slope is becoming positive, going in the upward direction. That means formation of the metal oxide is becoming less spontaneous. But you will see that this graph for the formation of carbon monoxide is coming in the downward direction. So that is the second characteristic. The graph for the formation of carbon monoxide is in the downward direction, indicating that as temperature increases, the formation of carbon monoxide from carbon is becoming more spontaneous. Again, let me explain this with delta G equation, Gibbs-Helmholtz equation, just as I explained in the formation of metal oxide. Carbon is solid. I balance this equation. So in this equation, this is reaction with oxygen, so it is an exothermic reaction, and therefore delta H will be negative. You will see that here 1 mole of gaseous reactant is converting into 2 moles of gaseous products. So you will see that number of gaseous products are becoming more. So here entropy is increasing, because from 1 mole of gaseous reactant we are getting 2 moles of gaseous products. So entropy increases, randomness increases. Remember, in gases randomness is highest, in solids randomness is minimum. So here if I substitute it in this equation, delta G is equals to delta H minus T delta S. Delta S is positive. Positive into negative term is going to be negative. Enthalpy is negative, and therefore delta G value is negative for the formation of carbon monoxide. So the graph will come in the downward direction when delta G not F is plotted against temperature in Kelvin. So this is the formation of carbon monoxide from 1 mole of oxygen, which is showing a downward trend, whereas for metals the trend is in the upward direction, because entropy becomes less as temperature increases and the slope becomes positive. So here also you will see that delta G is negative, so the graph is in the downward direction. Let us look at the third point. The third point says that each plot is a straight line except when there is a change in phase. Let us look at the graph again. In this graph, you will look at magnesium oxide. The formation of magnesium oxide is a straight line till about 1000 Kelvin or 1100 Kelvin. And then there is a sudden increase. Similarly, if you look at the graph for the formation of zinc oxide, it is increasing linearly and then there is a sudden increase. Now this sudden increase is because of change of phase. That means from solid it will get converted to liquid. So the third point says that each plot is a straight line except when there is a change of phase. Let me explain this using this equation that we studied in thermodynamics. Let us consider magnesium plus oxygen giving magnesium oxide. Magnesium is solid, oxygen is gas, magnesium oxide is solid. I balance this for 1 mole of oxygen. Now let us consider delta H value. In this case is negative, it is an exothermic process. Delta S value, in this case 1 mole of gaseous reactant is giving a solid. So delta S is becoming less because gaseous reactants are becoming solid products. Therefore delta S will decrease, it is negative. And if I substitute this value of negative here, then this becomes positive delta S, and that is what we said, that here this is plotted on y-axis, this is plotted on the x-axis, this is the slope is positive and the graph is in the upward direction. Now in case the substance melts, metal melts, in case of magnesium now at a certain temperature it has melted, then the melted magnesium will react with oxygen and it will form metal oxide. I balance it again. Here you will see now this is also an exothermic process. You will notice now there are 3 moles of gaseous reactants giving 2 moles of solid. That means in this case the entropy is becoming less. So entropy is negative. If you compare the entropy of these 2 reactions, then here it is more negative, because in this case this is liquid reactant. There are 2 moles of liquid reactant. Here this is solid. So this will not is not taken into consideration when we are measuring delta S. So here delta S is more negative. And if delta S is more negative in this particular situation where the metal has melted, then this graph here is going to be, this is more negative, so here this will become positive T delta S. So here this equation when plotted will give us, this will be slope which will be more positive. So that means in this case there will be an abrupt increase. So if we plot a graph of delta G versus temperature for magnesium oxide, then initially it will increase with increase in temperature, but when the magnesium melts, the slope will become more positive and suddenly it will increase. So this is the melting point of magnesium, which is indicated by an abrupt increase in the slope. And that is the third point that we have to read in Ellingham diagram. Each plot is a straight line except when there is a change in phase. The graph abruptly increases as temperature increases is explained from this particular example. Let us look at the fourth point now. The fourth point says that at some temperature, the graph for the formation of the oxide will cross delta G equal to 0. And if it crosses this delta G equal to 0, that means delta G will become positive, indicating that every metal oxide can be thermally decomposed. Delta G positive means non-spontaneous reaction. That means the formation of the oxide is non-spontaneous after a certain temperature, indicating that the metal oxide will decompose on its own to give us the metal. And that is what we are doing. Our aim is to extract the metal from the ore. So if at some point of time the metal oxide is going to decompose, then we can extract every metal easily from the ore. But in some cases the temperature needed is so high that the process becomes uneconomical. And it is for this reason that reducing agents are required. Now, if you look at the oxides of silver, mercury, gold, platinum, then they are high on top in the Ellingham diagram and can be easily extracted by thermal decomposition. Let us have a look at this graph again. If you look at Ellingham diagram, then you will see that the metals that are placed at the bottom of the graph are highly reactive metals like magnesium, aluminium. Then we have the moderately reactive elements, that is zinc iron. And above that we have the less reactive metals like copper, silver, gold will be still higher. So the formation of the oxide of silver gold is very close to delta G equal to 0. So in that case, if you heat them slightly, then the delta G values will become positive, indicating that the formation of the oxide is non-spontaneous and they will decompose. If you look at for copper, then as the graph increases, at some temperature it will cross this line. and therefore it can be extracted by thermal decomposition. In all cases, if the graph is drawn further, then they will cross this line of delta G equal to 0 at very high temperatures. But when we have to use high temperatures, that means the process that becomes uneconomical. We are going to spend a lot of money only in heating the ore, so it doesn't become economical and nobody will buy those expensive metals. So therefore we need to choose a reducing agent for which this diagram is going to be helpful. As I said here, if we plot a graph of delta G of formation of the metal oxide versus temperature, and this is delta G equal to 0, then metals like silver, gold will cross this line easily. That means they will decompose at these temperatures. But for metals like magnesium, the temperatures needed will be very high. This is a very high temperature, whereas this is lower temperature. So to extract magnesium by simple decomposition is going to not work out economically, and therefore in case of magnesium oxide we will have to look out for a reducing agent or an alternate method to extract it from its ore. Let us have a look at the fifth point. The fifth point reads, any metal oxide that has lower delta G naught value is more stable. Any metal oxide that has a lower delta G naught value is more stable, hence can reduce a metal oxide placed above it. That means lower the metal in Ellingham diagram, better the reducing agent. Highly reactive metals are placed at the bottom of the graph, and highly reactive metals are good reducing agents. Let us take example to understand this point. Let us look at the graph again. If you look at the graph, then you will see that this is the graph for the formation of magnesium oxide, and this is the graph for aluminium oxide. Now question is, can magnesium reduce aluminium oxide? Let us answer it from this point of view. Then question says metal oxide that has lower G naught value is more stable. So among this, magnesium oxide is more stable than aluminium oxide. And if you look at the reactivity series, then magnesium is above aluminium, magnesium oxide is more reactive, is going to form metal oxide more easily as compared to aluminium, which is what we have studied earlier. Now the question is, can magnesium metal reduce aluminium oxide? Then the point says, lower the metal in Ellingham diagram, better the reducing agent it is. So magnesium is a better reducing agent than aluminium, so magnesium can reduce aluminium oxide very easily. So the equation is like this: magnesium plus aluminium oxide. Is this reaction feasible? Can it be used as a reducing agent? Then let us look at this point. It says that the metal oxide that is lower is more stable. So if magnesium is going to form a more stable magnesium oxide, it will take away this oxygen. From aluminium oxide, it will extract, it will remove this oxygen. And substances that remove oxygen from other elements are called reducing agents. Because magnesium is below in this graph, negative delta G value, it has more affinity for oxygen, so it will remove the oxygen from aluminium oxide, that is reduction, and we will get aluminium. So answer is yes. But let us look at the graph beyond this point. This point is marked A. Beyond this point, you will see that the graph for the formation of magnesium oxide is higher, whereas that for the formation of aluminium oxide is lower. Now let us look at the graph beyond this point A, temperature T. So if I apply the fifth point, it says that the metal oxide that has lower delta G naught value is more stable. So above this temperature T1, aluminium oxide is more stable, and therefore aluminium will reduce magnesium oxide, and this reaction will be non-spontaneous. So if I have to apply this particular point, then I have to mention the temperature. So we have to say below T1 Kelvin, because above T1 Kelvin, which will be the reducing agent? Aluminium. Aluminium is going to extract oxygen to form the stable aluminium oxide, whereas this is going to be non-spontaneous. Above the temperature T1, aluminium becomes reducing agent. This reaction becomes non-spontaneous. So the question has to be answered carefully with respect to temperature. If the temperature changes, then it may not behave as a reducing agent. Let us look at this graph again. In this graph, you can see the formation of zinc oxide, and it is cutting the graph for carbon. The formation of carbon dioxide from carbon monoxide is above that. Now let us look at this graph and explain the next point. In this graph, we have delta G plotted against temperature. This is the graph for the formation of carbon monoxide. This is the graph for the formation of zinc oxide. And this is the graph for carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide. Now from this graph, if you are asked which is a better reducing agent to reduce zinc oxide, then you will see that this graph for the formation of zinc oxide is cutting this graph for the formation of carbon monoxide. So we have a choice. We have carbon monoxide, we have carbon. But the graph for carbon monoxide is above zinc. So this cannot behave as a reducing agent. The reducing agent will be carbon, and that will be beyond this temperature T1. So we will say carbon is the reducing agent above T1 Kelvin, because then the graph for carbon to carbon monoxide is coming below, which you can see in this graph here. So in this graph you will see that the formation of zinc oxide is above. Beyond this point, the formation of carbon monoxide is below. So carbon becomes a reducing agent to reduce zinc oxide below. Carbon monoxide cannot become reducing agent because its graph is higher. It cannot reduce zinc oxide. Now let us understand the graph for carbon monoxide. This is the graph for formation of carbon monoxide. This is the graph for carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide, and this is the graph for carbon dioxide. Now you will see this is one graph coming in the downward direction, this is going in the upward direction, and this is parallel to the x-axis. Now why it is that way? What is the reason that the three graphs are different? Let us have a look at the states. In this case, this is solid, this is gas, this is also gas. I balance it. So you will see here 1 mole of gaseous reactant is giving 2 moles of gaseous product. So delta S is going towards more randomness, so it's becoming positive. and therefore delta G value this is negative and this is positive. Negative into positive is negative. So delta G value negative and the graph is in the downward direction. If you consider carbon monoxide giving carbon dioxide, then I balance this equation. Here you will see that there are 2 plus 1, 3 gaseous reactant giving 2 moles of gaseous product. So here delta S value is decreasing. And when I substitute it in this equation, then you will see this is negative value and this is also negative. So here this becomes positive value. So as temperature increases, the positive value will become more. Graph will be in the upward direction. But in case of carbon plus oxygen giving carbon dioxide, it's a self-balanced equation. There is 1 mole of gaseous reactant giving 1 mole of gaseous product. So here entropy is 0. And if entropy is 0, then delta G will be equal to delta H. This is negative, therefore delta G negative. And therefore it will be parallel to the x-axis. So the graph for these 3 formations are different. Now if you consider, let us have a look at the graph again. If you look at the graph, then we will look at iron. Then you will see the graph for the formation of iron oxide is cutting the graph for the formation of carbon monoxide. It is cutting this graph for carbon monoxide to dioxide. So I draw that graph again. This is delta G naught F. This is temperature. This is formation of carbon dioxide from carbon monoxide. This is the graph which is in the downward direction for the formation of carbon monoxide, and this is the graph for formation of iron oxide. So you will see that this graph for the formation of iron oxide is cutting this graph for the formation of carbon monoxide. So here this is going to be the point where these 2 graphs are meeting. You will also see that this graph for the formation of carbon dioxide from carbon monoxide is below this graph for iron oxide. So carbon monoxide becomes a reducing agent below this temperature T1, and here this is the point where carbon is going to cut this line, and therefore it can also behave as a reducing agent for the extraction of iron. So let us have a look at the diagram again. You will see that this is the graph for the formation of carbon monoxide to dioxide, which is cutting the line for iron oxide here. And this is the graph for the formation of carbon monoxide, which is cutting it here. So we have 2 graphs. We have 2 reducing agents. We have reducing agent carbon monoxide as well as coke that can be used to extract iron from iron oxide. And depending on the temperature, we can select a better reducing agent. If you look at the graph for the formation of copper oxide, this is the graph for the formation of copper oxide, which is right on top. Then it is cutting the graph for the formation of carbon monoxide here. So you will see that this graph at this point is intersecting, which is very low temperature. So at around 100 Kelvin, or say not 100 Kelvin, somewhere around 300 Kelvin, you can extract copper from its ore by using carbon, because here this graph is coming lower down, this is on top. So carbon becomes a reducing agent for copper oxide. It can be used for extraction. So this is how the Ellingham diagram can be used to find a reducing agent and the temperature of extraction of the metal from its ore.